Hey, what's up guys? So this is going to be my first video on this channel, and I'm going to go ahead and be honest with you, and it's going to suck. It is not going to be good. I told myself when I first started this channel that I wasn't going to be nervous and it was going to go smoothly. I was going to be fine. Oh, I'm not fine. I'm super nervous, which I don't get. I find very funny because I'm just sitting in front of a camera talking to myself. I shouldn't be nervous for that, but I am. So you guys are just going to have to bear with me as I go on with my YouTube career. It's gonna suck. Um, I don't even have an intro on this channel yet. I don't even have a banner. I made a shitty little 5-minute Photoshop picture. That's my picture right now, and it's not gonna stay my picture. Basically, I'm rushing this. I told myself at the end of 2020 that I was gonna do this no matter what, and I'm doing it. So basically, I'm not gonna give you my whole life story. It doesn't matter. We're just going to go straight into the fights. I didn't research the fights as much as I wanted to, especially the prelims. The good thing about it is if they fought in the UFC before, I do know who they are. So that'll be helpful. For the next upcoming card and future cards, I will do more in depth analysis, but you guys will have to bear with me here for the first couple videos. We're just going to get straight into it. So the first fight is Jacob Kilburn versus Austin Lingo. Um, I just went on that whole speech about knowing these fighters, but I didn't know Jacob Kilburn until I clicked his name and saw he fought Billy Q, who is a very good fighter himself. Billy Q is very good, very well-rounded, and he finished Jacob by, what was it, triangle choke? Yeah, triangle choke, round two. And Austin Lingo's last fight was against Yusuf Zalal, who I really like. And I remember that fight very well. Lingo showed a lot of heart. He didn't get finished by Zalal, who's a top prospect in my mind, even though he lost his last fight. I think this is a little bit of a mismatch. I look at Kilburn's record. I didn't really rewatch his fights other than the Billy Q fight, but all three of his losses are by finish, all by submission. And Lingo is a finisher. He can get the submission or TKO. And I do think he's going to end up getting the submission, but I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a TKO either, or even gets a decision. But I do think he wins. I think he's the better fighter, and he's the favorite for a reason. Picking Lingo, second round submission. And then this next fight is the fight of the night. Wow. Um, Basically, I'm not going to talk about this fight very much. I don't think either of these girls are UFC caliber, and that's not throwing shots. They would both decimate me. But Sarah Moraes is 6-6, and Vanessa Mello is 10-8, and all three of her UFC fights are losses, and she hasn't looked particularly good in any of them. And Moraes she's tough. I'll give her that. She's tough, but she's also not very good. I do think Moraes wins. I think she's the tougher fighter. I think she can. I don't even want to say oppose her will, because what kind of will does she really have? And I'm, again, not throwing shots at this girl. She would kick my ass. But this is definitely a smoke break type of fight. I think Moraes wins by decision. And yeah, I'm glad I'll be at work during that fight. Next fight is David Zawada versus Ramazan. Not going to try to say his last name. I apologize about the names. The next card I'll do a better job and will make sure I know all the pronunciation of these names, but I don't. So Ramazan, that's what he's getting called. Not even going to try to say his last name. Anyways, I like this Zawada. Zawada, I like him a lot. I think he's a very solid fighter. His last fight, he was the underdog against Nurmagomedov, who I want to say he's Khabib's cousin, brother. What is he's related to Khabib, right? And he finished him triangle choke in a fight that not a lot of people thought he was going to win. He also fought the Leech, who was fighting against Pozanipio, and lost. Danny Roberts, who's a solid fighter. Nothing crazy, but is a solid fighter. Yeah, he's a good fighter. But Ramazan's really good. I think he doesn't have a lot of finishes since coming to the UFC. He's exactly none. He's 4-1, all decisions, and his one loss is also by decision to Anthony Rocco Martin, who's a pretty good fighter. I think Ramazan can win the fight. I think he can put his pace on Zawada and will get the decision. I wouldn't be surprised if Zawada, gets another quick finish, but I think that's the only way he wins. I think as the fight goes on, Ramazan will get him. I think he wins the decision. I don't see him getting the finish, but I do see him getting the decision. And this next fight, I'm very excited for. I really like Felipe. He's kind of like the heavyweight Kevin Holland, who'll kick your ass and talk shit at the same time. He fought his last fight against Yorgan De Castro and really put it on him and was talking shit the whole time. It was very great. Justin Tafa doesn't have a lot of experience. He's 4-1. He actually lost to Yorgan De Castro by knockout in his debut, which, MMA math doesn't really work, but I do think in this case Felipe wins. Tafa's only win in the UFC is against Juan Adams, who is terrible. The Kraken. Very bad fighter. Has a loss against Greg Hardy in 45 seconds. If that doesn't tell you anything, I don't know what will. I do think this will be a solid fight. I think it'll be a firefight. Someone will get knocked out. I think I'm going to change it to first round knockout because they're heavyweights, and I think if Felipe hits him, he's going to go down. But I also think Tafa can get the knockout too. With heavyweights, it's kind of hard to pick. But I think Felipe's the better fighter, more experience, better striking, and I think he'll get the knockout. Next fight, I'll be honest, the Yanan Wu, Chinese girl, Mulan. I remember watching her fight. She fought her last fight against Mizuki. Yeah, she lost by split, but she also beat Lauren Mueller, who came from Dana White's Contender Series, who had a lot of hype, and then just didn't do anything in the UFC other than beating Shayna Dobson. Jocelyn Edwards, I have never seen her fight. This is her UFC debut. It looks like she has a lot of finishes, but against a lot of fighters that aren't very good. 0-1, 0-1, 0-0, 0-0, 1-1, 1-0, 0-1, 3-3, 8-3. And then Sarah Alpar is probably the only girl she's even fought that's decent, who fought in the UFC not too long ago, and she lost. So I think that Wu will get the decision. I think she's probably the better fighter. But with these women fights, you never know. And maybe Jocelyn is a beast, and she comes out here and beats her up. But I don't see it. Just by looking at her record, I don't see it. I don't even have to look at the fight footage. I mean, she's fighting nobodies. And I think Wu wins by decision. But I wouldn't be surprised if Edwards wins decision either. This next fight is the prelim main event, and I'm really looking forward to it. Nasruddin Aminov versus Phil Hawes. I really like Phil Hawes. I even liked him in his loss. He fought in the Contender Series. He lost to, who was it? Was it Julian Marquez? Let's see. Yeah, he lost to Julian Marquez and then has just been on a tear since. And he hasn't fought a lot of good fighters either. 6-3, 11-7, 13-10-1, 10-3. He fought that big guy on the Contender Series. He was like 6'7", 6'6", yeah. Trained out of AKA with Cormier and knocked him out real quick. And then he fought Jacob Malkoun, who was 4-0, and knocked him out in 18 seconds. Nasruddin is solid. He fought Jordan Williams' last fight, who had a lot of hype coming off the Contender Series. And I think I even picked him against Jordan Williams when a lot of people weren't. And he was very solid in that fight. He won by decision. He also has a finish over Jonathan Munair, who was a UFC vet. So he's a solid fighter. But I am going to back up Phil Hawes. I think Phil Hawes catches him early and gets the finish. I think he could finish him in the second round too. But I am a little worried about his gas tank. Nasruddin did go to decision his last fight, like I said, and he looked good. He never slowed down. They banged it out the whole fight, and he never slowed down. He looked good. And I think he could finish Hawes in the later rounds or maybe eke out a decision. But I do see Philip Hawes catching him and catching him early. I don't think Phil Hawes is going to go all 3 rounds and win the fight. All right, so now we're going to go on to the main card. And let's see. First fight, Punalele. Ooh, that's fun to say. Punalele Soriano versus Dusko. We're going to call him Dusko. Thunder. We'll call him Thunder. Punalele is a very good striker. He's got very heavy hands, knocks people out. His last fight against Oscar what's his name? Oscar, what is it? Something I probably can't pronounce, huh? Oscar, okay? Oscar, who is not the greatest fighter. He's lost his last 3 fights, but he knocked him out cold, looked very good. My problem with Punanele is he's a striker, and this Dusko kid is a grappler. And his last fight against, who did he fight? He fought Declan Townsend, who is not the best fighter in the world. Probably not UFC caliber, but very solid fighter, very tough. You don't just get him out of there, and he did. Got him out of there, looked very dominant, impressed me a lot. I think that he'll be able to impose his will on Punalele. God, I love saying that. I think he'll be able to push him against the fence, and once he takes him down, he'll be able to do damage and eventually get the TKO. Or maybe he gets a decision, but I'm going to say TKO by maybe 3rd round. I think Punanele will actually look good in the 1st round, might even tag Dusko up a little bit. I don't think Dusko's striking is all that great, but he comes forward and he will get you. He will get you down, and once he gets you down, you're in trouble. So yeah, I see him getting Punalele down on the ground, bust him up with some elbows and punches, and the ref having to stop it. But I also wouldn't be surprised if Punalele gets a quick knockout. But man, watching Dusko his last fight, I don't see it. I see Dusko winning very dominantly. They're both undefeated prospects, so one of their O has to go. And I'm picking Dusko. I think he wins and does it very impressively. Watch out for him. Ooh, this fight right here. Joaquin Buckley versus Alessio Di Chiccario. I don't know if I said that right. I'm so sorry. Alessio Di Chiccario? Chiccario. I think that's how you say it. Anyways, we all know who Buckley is. He had that spinning back knockout, the knockout of the year. And a lot of people said that was just a fluke. And then he fought Jordan Wright, who, I'll be honest, I even picked Jordan Wright against him. I was impressed with the knockout, don't get me wrong. It was very impressive, but I saw what Kevin Holland did to him, and Jordan Wright was like a tall striker that I thought could catch him. So I was wrong on that. He knocked Jordan Wright out very impressively. I don't think he's a fluke. I think he's a very good fighter. He's fast. He's strong. And he reminds me a lot of Mike Tyson. Like just the way he holds his hands and throws his hands. He's obviously not as good as Mike Tyson is. But that's just what he reminds me of. My dad says that every time he fights, man, he looks like Mike Tyson. And he's fighting a guy who I think they're setting him up to lose. Alessio, who's a solid fighter. Nothing against Alessio. He's lost his last 3 against Zach Cummings, who Zach Cummings hurt him in the last second of that fight. I remember that very well. It was kind of a boring fight until then. In the last a second, he head kicked him. He fought Kevin Holland. Wow, lost to Kevin Holland. Eric Spicely. He's a solid fighter. I mean, he's tough, but he's not that all impressive. Um, I think he could win. I think he could push Buckley against the fence, maybe get a few takedowns, win a decision. But I don't see him finishing Buckley, and he's kind of has to survive the first 2 rounds, which I don't see him doing. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say he survives the first round, but I got Buckley winning by second round knockout. And I do think it'll be a very spectacular knockout. I don't think he'll ever be able to recreate what he did before, but I do see him winning a lot of fights in the UFC by knockout. I'd love to see him fight Kevin Holland again. It'd be a good fight. All right, next fight. Ooh, okay. So this fight right here, I think, is going to be the fight of the night. Santiago Ponzinibbio hasn't fought since 2017. Wow, he fought Neil Magny, and I remember that fight. He looked amazing against Neil Magny. He beat Gunnar Nelson, Mike Perry, Zach Cummings. He's 27-3, which is an unbelievable record. His only 2 losses are in the UFC to Lorenz Larkin, who was very good in his day, and Ryan LaFleur, a very good wrestler, took him down, I'm sure, and laid on him. But Ryan LaFleur can do that to you. Other than that, he wins. He wins fights. He finishes people. He's very technical on the feet, but he also isn't afraid of a brawl, which I like. He hits hard, very good kicks. Honestly, they're very similar fighters. The Leech and Ponzinibbio, they're very similar. The Leech, his last fight was also against Neil Magny, and he lost to Neil Magny by decision. Neil Magny could do that. Neil Magny can do that to anybody. He's that good. Not the most exciting fighter in the world, but very good fighter. He looked good against Alessio Dos Santos. Yeah, he looked like a killer that fight. David Sawada. He lost to Jake Matthews. Yeah, I think Ponzinibbio is gonna be just a little too much. I think it'll be a good fight. Like I said, I do think it'll be fight of the night. Both guys are gonna get hurt and have to come back. I do think Ponzinibbio can get the finish if he wants, but the Leech is very tough. He's very tough. He has been finished one time by submission, but other than that, he's never been knocked out, and I don't think he will. I think Ponzinibbio has a chance to get a late finish, a TKO, maybe with knees. Maybe he beats up the leg and gets him that way, but I do think that the Leech can survive. And Ponzinibbio will win a decision, and that's going to be my pick. But I really do think it'll be fight of the night. Maybe the Carlos Condit Matt Brown fight after this that we'll get into. I think that has potential to be fight of the night, and even the main event. But this is my fight of the night. I think it's going to be a barn burner, and I really like Ponzinibbio. I'm glad he's back. He's a very good welterweight, and it says he was scheduled to fight Usman at one point, which would have been a good fight. I don't think he beats Usman, but either way, it could be a good fight. Anyways, yeah, I am going to pick Ponzinibbio by decision in a very, very good fight, and the first fight of the night of the year. And this fight right here, we've been waiting for this fight for years. They've been scheduled. How many times have they been scheduled? Let me look that up. Because I know it's been a few times, and Matt Brown retired, and then he was coming back to fight Carlos Condit, and then it didn't happen, and then he fought Diego Sanchez anyways. And let's see. So Carlos Condit. Matt Brown. It's been scheduled at least twice. I think more than that. But either way, this fight's been talked about a lot in the past few years. And I do wish it happened the past few years, because I think it would have been a better fight. I don't think that their skills really have gotten worse. I don't think they've gotten any worse. But I do think that their ability to take damage has gotten worse, especially Matt Brown, who you don't see getting finished a lot, has been finished recently a few times. Miguel Baeza, who's really good, one of my prospects of the year. I'm going to make a video on my top prospects. He'll definitely be there. Knocked him out. He got knocked out by Don Cerrone. Jake Ellenberger caught him early with the body kick. Damian Maia finished him. So he has been finished lately, which Carlos hasn't really. Has Carlos ever even been knocked out? I don't think so. Kimura, guillotine choke, rear naked. Nope, never been knocked out. He lost by leg kicks in a kickboxing fight. But no, he's never been knocked out, and I don't think that'll change against Matt Brown. I think it'll be a great fight. I think that Matt Brown's going to come forward and try to hurt Carlos Condit, but Carlos, I think, is too good on the feet. He's too smart. I don't want to say he's going to point fight because I think he's going to try to finish Matt Brown, and I do think if he kicks him in the body or knees him in the body, he can get that finish. His last fight against Court McGee, he hurt Court a few times and could have got the finish there. So I do think he'll finish Matt Brown. Maybe late, maybe in the third, second round. But I also wouldn't be surprised if it's a decision where Carlos Condit kind of point fights around the fight or around the ring and kicks and knees and kind of like the Diaz fight. I can expect that. But I am going to say that he wins by KO in the third round. But it'll be a great fight, and I'm glad it's happening now. I'm glad we finally get to see it. And I do think that they're going to retire soon, so it's good that we get to see it now. And now the main event. And I'll be honest with you guys, this fight I have been flip-flopping ever since it was announced. When it first was announced, I was all on Calvin Kattar. I've been saying that Calvin Kattar's going to win. Holloway's been taking too much damage recently. Calvin Kattar hits too hard, and that he's going to finish him. But then I actually watched the tape. I watched tape on Kattar's losses against Moicano, where Moicano kind of stifled him on the feet and leg kicked him to death and really gave him problems that way. And then the fight against Zabit was really the tell here. He fought Zabit, and Zabit, the first two rounds, kind of styled on him, pressured him, and then got tired, and Kattar came through at the end. And if it was 5 rounds, he probably would have beat Zabit. But I think Max Holloway can do what Zabit did, but better. He's not going to get tired as the fight goes on. He's tough. He's very tough. Max, you don't just knock out Max, which I don't think Kattar's going to just knock him out. I think Kattar will have success the early rounds. He might even hurt Holloway in the first 2 rounds, kind of like Poirier did. But I just think Max can pressure him and pressure him and pressure him and then break him. I don't know if Max will get the finish. Kattar's very tough too. Very good fighter. I could see either of them winning, but I have to pick someone, and I still want to pick Kattar because he's the younger. I think he's hungry. He's not younger. Wow. He just seems like he'd be younger. See, right there, Max Holloway was the champion forever. And wow, I can't believe Kattar's 32. He's 20. He's still only 29, guys. He's 29. I don't think Max Holloway's done. He looked really good in his last fight against Volkanovski in the first 3 rounds. Wow, wow, I'm broke right now. I can't believe. Well, either way, even though he's older at 32, I think he's the hungrier fighter. He has more to gain from this fight. Max has lost his last 2, but they've both been close fights. A lot of people would say that he won his last fight. I think that Volkanovski did enough. I think he came on strong as a champion should, but I do get why people thought Max won. And Kattar's last 2 fights have looked great. He fought Jeremy Stevens, and that fight was amazing. The elbow finish, that's when I really started to notice Calvin Kattar. And then he fought Danny Ige, and he proved that he could go the distance. He didn't get tired. He put it on Ige the whole time. Oh, man, this is a hard pick. I still want to pick Kattar just because I like him a lot. He's looked very solid. He has one of the best boxing in the whole UFC. I really believe that. But I am going to pick Max. I'm going to pick him by decision. I don't think he'll finish Kattar. I think he has the potential to finish Kattar, but I don't see it. I don't see Kattar finishing him either. Maybe the only way Kattar finishes him if he catches him really early and gets like a TKO, maybe like an early stoppage. But I do see this fight going to decision. And wow. I want to change it to Kattar now. No, I'm going to stick with Holloway. But if the Ponzinibbio fight isn't the fight of the night, I do think this will be. I think they'll stay in the pocket and exchange bombs the whole fight. That's just how they both fight. I think if Max fights smart, he'll win. And he doesn't try to do a firefight with this young. I keep calling him young when he's older, but this kid who hits hard. Calvin hits hard, and he will hurt Max if he stays in that firefight. Max isn't really known to be a power puncher. He's more, volume and pressure. But that's why I think he's going to win is the pressure. Zabit did it to Kattar, and Max can do it, and he won't get tired. So I'm going to go with Max. But I'm not. That's my least confident fight of this whole card. Is the main event. My most confident is probably Buckley, man. I just don't see how Alessio wins. I don't see how he wins. I need to get these names better. Anyways, that's it for this video. I know it sucked. I know I need to do a lot more research for the next one. For the next one on Wednesday, the Neil Magny, Michael Chiesa fight, I'll do a lot more research on the names and the fights. But I just really wanted to get this video out, and I'll have an intro by the next video too, and a banner for my profile, and hopefully a better picture. But if you stuck through this whole video, I appreciate it. If you would subscribe to my channel, I would appreciate that too. And the videos will only get better, I promise. They can only get better from here. And after tomorrow, I'll do a breakdown of all the picks and what I got right and what I got wrong. There's 11 fights. I expect to get, 8 or 9 right. I would hope to get all 11, but I do think I get at least 8 or 9 right. I did very well with my picks last year, which is the main motivation of me wanting to do this. I got about 80% of all my UFC fights right. So basically, yep, Max Holloway wins by decision, and I really appreciate all you guys listening. I'm going to go ahead and sign off before I embarrass myself anymore. Thank you.